Hey guys, CDTV, the P here. The P, of course, stands for Productions. It's right there in the channel name, you silly goose. And just now, I'm gonna be reacting to the new album from Metro Boomin, Heroes and Villains. This, of course, is the follow-up to his last album, which was Not All Heroes Wear Capes. I reacted to that over on my CDTV The G channel before that died off. Might not be a permanent death, might be, we'll see. But yeah, I reacted to that over there. I remember it being fairly nice. It was a good album. I wouldn't say it was great, but I think it was good. We've got pretty much the standard features that you would expect. I'm really interested to hear how The Weeknd and 21 Savage sound on a track together. That's an interesting combination. So we might as well just get started and jump right into it. Track number 1, On Time with John Legend.
Listen. Every story needs a superhero and a villain.
John Legend is sounding a lot like A$AP Rocky right now.
Metro Boomin.
Oh, this is the clean version. I accidentally clicked on the clean version because the lyrics that I was reading on screen, they don't match up with what I just heard.
Metro motherfucking Boomin, nigga.
There we go.
You know what they say?
Got Morgan on this again.
Trust you. Motherfucker, you better run.
Yeah.
Oh, that just rolls right into the next song. Okay, I didn't even realize it started. I was about to let that go. Pretty dramatic opening to that. Really like the production throughout that track and how it built up and changed as it went on. I don't really listen to John Legend. I'm not the biggest fan of his kind of singing. It sounded fine on here. It's just nothing that I'm going to replay like crazy. But it works well as an intro to set up the project and gives it that nice dramatic start. Nothing I'm going to revisit a crazy amount, but I will listen to it in the context of the album. So let's move on to the next one. Track number 2. Superhero, Heroes and Villains, featuring Future, Ye, and Chris Brown. Outside of the personal stuff with Chris Brown, I'm just not that big of a fan of how he sounds. I'm not saying he sounds terrible, and I used to enjoy like hooks that he did and stuff like that, but now, I don't know, he just has a very bland sound in my opinion. I love that producer tag.
My 90s turn me to a superhero, yeah. Nigga get rich, better take you to war. Piss on your casket, shoot at your bra. Do you something nasty, roll you in a gar. Ain't no facade, ain't no fugazi. I jump it off, I get paid. Drop top rust, I'm going crazy.
This doesn't particularly sound like superhero activity. Okay, and then a beat switch for the next part.
I ain't got a case, so I can't save you now. Niggas wanna hate you, rather see you drown. So who's really the villain?
It is you, my friend. I mean, that Chris Brown part was so short anyway, I don't even really feel like that was fully necessary. Superhero, Heroes and Villains, that was okay. That was okay, not too bad, not too great. We got something at the start on the first half from Future. It did kind of sound like his older music. With the Metro production, sounded almost, I guess, DS2 era kind of stuff. It was just like a decent Future song with a random Chris Brown bit tacked on to the end. I don't know, not really strong feelings about that one either way. Let's move on to the next one on here, track number 3. Too Many Nights featuring Don Toliver, and then on Spotify it's written as And With Future. So yeah, Too Many Nights featuring Don Toliver and with Future. This should be an interesting one. I think I said it in a recent video. I can't remember what one it was, but I'm not too crazy about Don Toliver. I don't find his music all that interesting. Don Toliver, more like Jan Toliver, am I right, guys? But yeah, we'll see how this song goes.
Metro.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just bored. I'm just bored by this song. Is Future even on this track? Okay, just on the outro.
Money coming too fast, I can't slow. Feel like I'm running from my past, I can't slow down.
Okay, it was very generous to call that a Future feature. I like that. The last bit, the outro from Future right there, that was my favorite part of the song. The rest of it was just a Don Toliver song. And like I said, I'm not a fan of Don Toliver. I find his music pretty boring. That part just didn't hit at all for me. The production for it was quite nice. I did like those hard-hitting buzzing 808s, but apart from that, there was nothing really here for me. I don't know what it is about Don Toliver, but he just isn't interesting to me. Not off to the craziest start here. But let's move on to the next one, track number 4. This is one that just features Travis Scott, so I'll be interested to see what he does on this one. He hasn't been dropping an insane amount of music lately. Can't imagine why. But I think he's sort of like slowly having us come back into making more music, and this is definitely a big part of it because he's on a few tracks here. So let's see what he does on Raindrops, brackets, Insane.
Drop, top, and rain. This night feel insane. You get chills, that's alright. You stay down. AP, no Timex. I'm right now and I'm next. It's rain.
I do like the slowdown with the drums between the verses and the chorus. Then it speeds up in the verses. That's quite nice.
Kick back, got some recall. Had to run it back, made a sequel. You might feel insane, but I'm insane. Drop, top, and rain.
It's another track that was okay. I'm feeling really deflated by this point in the album, man. 4 tracks in, and nothing all that crazy so far. I don't know, that was just like a average Travis Scott song. Nothing too different from what you would usually hear from him. Everything so far on this project, it doesn't feel like it's like the best thing you could hear from these artists, you know? I did like on this song, you had the drums, you know, becoming more faster paced during the verses and then slowing down for the hook. It was a nice way to transition between them. But in terms of Travis Scott's performance, it was just like average Travis Scott. But let's see how the next one sounds. We have our first 21 Savage feature on the project, 21. It's track number 5, Umbrella, with 21 Savage and I believe his cousin, Young Nudy. Okay, bit of a different beat on this one to all the other ones. I have a feeling I'm gonna like this one.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Of course it has to be another nocturnal trap beat. I was hoping we were gonna get something over that first beat. This still kind of bangs. I'm just like, does every beat have to sound like this?
Get the whole drum cause I'm generous. Put your name on the bullets while I'm feeling them. Wear them umbrella. Yeah. Clutching glizzies with the fellas. Yeah. Chopper scene like it's a Della.
Clutching glizzies with the fellas.
We catching bodies, we fiending. They catching bodies, they dreaming. And I just caught a body with your bitch, she ain't seen me.
Big 4 well, get them gone like adios. Knock your hood down, nigga, dominoes. 21. I ain't really cold hearted, I'm a stepper. These bullets hot, jalapeno pepper.
I would say that was the best one on this so far. I'm not the biggest Young Nudy fan. I don't really like Young Nudy's music, but he was alright on here, and 21 Savage was really good on here. I was like a little bit disappointed at first because it had that more like soulful sounding beat at the start, and I heard that and I was like, oh, 21 Savage is gonna slide over this. And then it switched into a more typical Metro Boomin nocturnal trap beat. Like, does every beat on this project have to sound like that? It would have been nice to get a different beat, like the more soulful sounding production at the start for the whole song, but for what it's worth, when it switched up, I think it still was a good song, and it finished up being the best one on this project so far. The only one that I really like on this project so far. Track number 6. This one could be interesting. We have Trance featuring Travis Scott and Young Thug.
We put out the feathers for this type of weather. She put her the club to bust up a dub. She sipping on water, don't do touch. She got her own fan, she need her a buzz. Might give her a chance.
You know you need me, my nigga. Just keep this shit real, don't you crap with your song. Need bad out of the night, she try to tangle. She got Paris manners.
I've been whipped up and I've been whipped up and this life, it's this life, it's this life, it's this life.
I wasn't too opposed to that one. That one was just a smooth little vibe. We got to hear a new Young Thug verse, so that was cool. Prefer Travis on this one to the other track on this he was on. What was it called? Raindrops. Yeah, preferred Travis on here. I think this one was a little bit smoother and just not as boring. It's not really a project that's taking that many risks. It's kind of like exactly what you would expect. It doesn't feel like too much of an evolution from the last project, but it's okay. It's okay so far. It was fairly decent. There's been nothing amazing on this so far though. So let's move on to the next one. I don't know if I'm going to be too crazy about this, as my feelings about Don Toliver's music have already been established here. It's track number 7, Around Me, featuring just Don Toliver.
Like I know you want. She said it here for hours, even till I'm done. Then they call it a tenfold. Showing here what that band's for. On my coat, way above the brown. The one that got the cup with the all white trim. I see way too many worlds in it.
Heroes are inspired.
Morgan again. You know what this album is desperately missing? A Nav feature. Where is Nav on this track list? Replace the Don Toliver tracks with Nav and then 10 out of 10. I would love this album a lot more. Around Me, it was a Don Toliver song. I don't like Don Toliver. We've established that, so I didn't really like the song. Like, it had a nice beat to it. Don Toliver's singing isn't bad by any means. I just don't find him all that interesting. That's as simple as that. I would say this one was better than Too Many Nights, though. We're gonna go into the next one. I have high hopes for this one because it's a solo Young Thug track. It's track number 8, Metro Spider.
Metro Boomin. I'm the youngest, but yet I'm richer than every one of my brothers. I took flawless, but yet my wrist is dropping. Now I got a couple against my pocket. Big B, I've been rocking Chanel and throwing up season. That's for Charlie. Life on a yacht. I ain't taking my chain off that. Like the way.
Okay, there we go. The flow was kind of bad for the first half of this verse.
Up me a pain from bezel. I went two-tone on my bezel. Vodka rock the candles. Here, my friend right here. Nigga, both my parents right here. Drop my album this year. Nobody can spare. Nigga, both my banners right there. I went two-tone on my bezel. Vodka rock the candles. And I'm a fucking striker. Yeah, little like a fucking biker. I done got used to taking pills and being up all night.
Metro Spider was pretty good. Again, not crazy about it. I just want to finish this album. It had a bit of a weak start to it. I feel like the first half of the first verse, Young Thug's flow wasn't quite hitting the beat right. It sounded pretty weird, but then right at the end of the first verse, he started to pick it up, and the rest of the song sounded good from there. So yeah, Metro Spider, probably one of the best ones on here so far, although in my opinion, there's not a lot of competition. So let's move on to the next one. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds long, so it should be okay. It's I Can't Save You Interlude with Future and featuring Don Toliver. It's got the and thingy again.
Tweaking, I'm geeking, I can't save no hoe.
Better bitch in the club and you fall in love and you know you're dead or you're wrong. Got a drink in the tank on me. Got the gas in the car.
I can't save you, I can't save you, I can't save you, I can't save you, I can't save no hoe. I can't save you, I can't save you, I can't save these hoes. Trap nigga made it the pro.
So that was a song. Yeah, Future just didn't even try on there. God. I can't be the only one that feels this way about this project. I've seen some people call this album of the year, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand it. I don't understand it from this listen, because somehow they managed to make a project like this boring. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Track number 10, I do have high hopes for this one again. Please give me something. I don't see myself coming back to this project for almost anything so far, so hopefully this one is good. It's track number 10, Creepin, featuring The Weeknd in his beautiful voice and 21 Savage. An interesting contrast, so I think it'll be cool to see how they sound together.
The person you were kissing wasn't me. No, if you're playing me, keep it on the low. I don't need to know the truth.
Had me crushing, I was cuffing like the precinct. How you go from housewife to a sneaky link? I got a girl, but I still feel alone. If you plan me, that mean my home ain't home.
Cool little 21 verse on that. Something a little bit different.
Oh, baby, I don't wanna know.
That was alright. I like 21 Savage's verse on it. It was like kind of a little bit of a different beat to hear 21 Savage over. Of course, it was still nocturnal and dark sounding and a bit trappy, but you know, there was a sort of, I guess, slower, smoother element to this track, and it shows that 21 Savage can manage to fit his flow over any type of beat. Even though I really like The Weeknd's music, I didn't really care for what he did on here at all. Yeah, I mean, Creepin was fine, not a bad song, just not super interesting. 21 Savage was my favorite part of it. On to the next one. Track number 11, Niagara Falls, Footer 2, featuring Travis Scott in 21 Savage. Let's see how this one sounds.
Ratchet bitches wanting Frenchies, not Philippe. That's the type that put me in my mood. I'ma need an extra footer.
Crib same size as the Galleria. Take a shower in the Maybach, it got curtains. Leave your phone in your purse, you making me nervous.
That's the type that put me in my mood.
Villains are made, not born. Unlike their endings, take nearly identical shape and form.
That was Niagara Falls. That was fine. Just very typical. Nothing all that exciting or interesting. Just a very typical song. Okay, I just tweeted on twitter.com at CDTVProductions that I wasn't crazy about this album. I found it pretty boring. Apparently that's an unpopular take. And I don't really get why, to be honest. I think this is pretty boring. So let's get into the next one. We're closing in on the end of this album now, and I'll give some, I guess, probably very quick initial thoughts on it. Track number 12, Walk 'Em Down, Don't Kill Civilians, with 21 Savage and Mustafa.
Pouring up, drink, sipping, walk by the paint. Rich nigga, I value my friendship with the bank. All these choppers, I can open up a gun store. Really street, I ain't going for the gusto. Beef about a bitch, you a tender dick rookie. I can't even cap this baby mama shit, gushy.
This whole shit don't matter, but when my nigga dies, somebody gotta.
Then a little switch.
Bro wants to kill again. Told him be patient, you don't kill civilians. We'll never miss.
Walk 'Em Down was fairly good. Walk 'Em Down, Don't Kill Civilians. It's two separate parts of the track. The first one, again, was like the more sort of like darker, intense, I'm gonna kill you type of song. And then the second half was Mustafa taking sort of like the more emotional approach. Two different types of like piano bass beats on this. I guess it was fairly good. Again, I don't know what the replay value is going to be like for me. I think the only ones so far on this that have replay value for me are Metro Spider, Umbrella. Track number 13, Lock On Me, featuring Travis Scott and Future. Could be a good one, but you know, I'm not going to get my hopes up for it. We'll just see how it goes.
I just switched the phone, got a new technique. I had to get it going, put a lock on me.
Pass out these pills, I done told you how to kiss. I done told you how to flip it, I done told you how to dress. I hang with the bros, we in Turks with the best of. Something like pro after the way I crossed over.
Playing with yourself and popping pills. Had a long night, but
I swear every Travis Scott hook on this has been extremely dead. Wake up, Travis!
till it mix with a village. Try to pay Yola, that's a stitch in the business.
And it stuck with me like it's me.
I Sleep. Travis Scott with his hooks on this project, man, sounds like he had one of those naps where you wake up and you feel worse than you did before you took the nap. That's the kind of vibe he's given off on these choruses, man. As someone that does like trap music and likes most of the artists featured on this project, I don't like this project. But let's get into track number 14. I'm curious to hear this one. We've got Feel the Fiyaaaah with A$AP Rocky and Takeoff. Rest in peace, of course, to Takeoff. It still doesn't feel real. It still doesn't fully feel like it actually happened, you know? But we have a feature from Takeoff on here, so yeah. Let's get into it. Alright, is this one actually going to stick with this production style, or is it going to switch to a darker trap beat before it starts?
While we greedy like wolves,
Oh, we're actually going with the soulful production now.
pearly Jesus pieces. What would Jesus do? I was trying to get a ticket. Get it. Commas and some digits. Been thinking about it for a minute. Then I took her to the D. Let's go. Said she wanna take a E. Okay. Don't go nowhere without my F and N. But wouldn't I when you got money to spend? No sleep. Except disease.
On the store marketplace.
Okay, that one was better. Feel the Fiyaaaah was one of the best ones on here. I thought it was going to do a similar thing to Umbrella, where it starts off with that soulful sounding beat and then it just switches into a more typical Metro Boomin dark synthy piano-based trap beat. But on this one, it stuck with that soulful sound for the whole track and it actually made it sound unique and different to everything else on here, so it automatically made it stand out, and it was just one of the better tracks. It was really kind of bittersweet hearing such a good Takeoff verse on this song. He had this whole like alphabet rhyme scheme throughout it, where he basically went the I believe the whole alphabet. I'm gonna need to read through that to see if he got every single letter in there. ASAP Rocky was solid on it. I think they both sounded great over this instrumental. This was one of the best ones on here so far. So let's go into the last one. It's labeled on here as a bonus track, but we'll listen to it. It's track number 15, All the Money, featuring Gunna.
This time around we on all the money. This time around we on all the money. All my life I just wanted a million. What's on your wrist with your million? Don't fuck the cost and the just with subpoena. It's hot on my block, check your top like a fever. This time around we want all the money. This time around we want all the money.
And there we go. I'm perfectly fine with that one being a bonus track. It was a Gunna song. Not as good as Space Cadet. I like Gunna when he's over the more wanna style of production where it feels more, how do I describe it? More summery, more warm. This kind of like brighter, more varied and interesting production. I like how he sounds on that album. The whole Drip Season 4, this song kind of stuff, Gunna can be pretty boring over darker beats. So let's just get into my initial thoughts on Heroes and Villains by Metro Boomin. I think you could see from my reactions throughout it, I wasn't too crazy about it. Kind of underwhelming, in my opinion, just in my opinion, but I felt that this was a really mediocre project, and Not All Heroes Wear Capes was a million times better than this, and that album on its own, I thought that was just pretty good, but not great. So that gives you an idea of how I feel about this one. I really like Metro Boomin, and I like most of the artists on this, but the end product is just super lackluster to me and mostly boring. The nocturnal trap sound throughout all of it just doesn't stay interesting to me. So let's go through my favorite and least favorite tracks before we get into more of my thoughts on this project. My favorites on here were Umbrella with 21 Savage and Young Nudy, Metro Spider featuring Young Thug, which aside from the first half of the first verse, which had that awkward flow that didn't really sound on beat, the rest of the song was pretty good. Feel the Fire. Those are my three favorite songs from this project. In terms of least favorites, Too Many Nights, Raindrops, I Can't Save You with Future and Don Toliver, because that was a bad song in my opinion. And Lock on Me with Travis Scott and Future. Honestly, if this is kind of like Travis's sort of like comeback in a way. This is the most output we've heard from him recently, and this was kind of a flop from Travis. Travis was one of the worst parts of this project. He was boring on almost every song that he was on. I hope Utopia is better than this whenever it drops. Best contributions on this, 21 Savage was probably the most consistent. I don't think there was a bad verse from him on here. Young Thug was nice when he showed up on the album. So yeah, overall, I'm not too sure what else to say about this project. Just kind of not that great for me. Thank you so much for watching, and definitely let me know how you feel about it in the comments down below. Even if it's completely different to how I feel about it, I'll still be reading the comments and seeing what you guys have to say. You can click right here to check out the last reaction video that I did on this channel, and much love to all of my Patreon supporters over there, with a special shout out to my biggest supporters on there, and those are Aguirre, Big Daddy Foe, Diego Victoriano, Josh Gourmet, Griffin Upchurch, I Am Region, and Ryan Shadow 507.